It's that show that you know and love. It's that show that you know and love. It's that show that you remix. It's that show that you know and love. It's that show that you know and love. It's that show that you know and love. It's Black and Educated with Jay. What's up? Hey, y'all, I'm so excited. I don't know, did y'all enjoy that intro? It feels kind of weird, me just jumping in without singing or anything in the beginning. Like, I'm just so used to singing my own jingle. Let me know how y'all feel about all that. But how are you guys? It's been so long! Oh my gosh, y'all. When was the last episode of Black and Educated? Let's Talk About It does not count as the last episode of anything. Let's Talk About It is a separate podcast. You guys already know about that. I just don't have the podcast set up. So that's why it's the podcast without the podcast. But so many people have been like, where's Black and Educated season 2? And it's here. What's poppin'? Brand new whip, just butter. I got options. I am really, really happy to be back. Like, I'm really happy that I'm actually like, you know, it takes a very, very long time to put one episode of this together. And, you know, that 3-week or 2-week break that I had, and I was doing Let's Talk About It, amongst other things, I was feeling some type of way because I just didn't know how I can jump back in to season 2, or how can I execute season 2, because season 1, believe it or not, I would write each episode right before it. I never sat and planned all my episodes, you know what I mean? So I would wake up at 6 and I would shoot, and I would get all my information like 2 to 3 hours before. Like, it was crazy. So now that I'm sitting here and like I had the chance to like really think about how I'm gonna execute season 2 and how I'm gonna produce it, what music I might put in, you know, different outfits. It's a lot. Like, it is a lot for one person, but I'm happy, you know, because I was scared. I was like, man, season 1 did so well. What if season 2 is a flop? But I don't think it's gonna flop. I don't think any of that's gonna happen, because I have positivity by the dozen. You know what it is. What's up? Gotcha. In the cut, goddamn. Please go grab a cup of coffee, go grab a cup of tea, go grab a shot of vodka, go grab a glass of wine, whatever you'd like. This episode gonna have you thinking, and this is a 3-part. This is a 3-part. I didn't want to make one whole long episode, even though I kind of want to, just for editing reasons. But this is part 1 on mass incarceration, y'all. Let's take a sip of coffee. I'll talk about quotas. Now, if you guys know me personally, if you guys grew up with me, I would always talk about this. I would always talk about quotas. I would always talk about the police system and stuff like that. So if you know, you know. But finally, well, these ideas that I've had in my mind about cops and stuff like that, they were put to the truth finally from one documentary that I saw called Crime and Punishment. You guys need to see it. It's on Hulu. And I'm gonna break it down real quick. I'm gonna tell you. But back in the day, okay, when I used to live in Allentown, Pennsylvania, I used to get a lot of parking tickets. Thank God I ain't on my family's stuff or anything. I'm on my own, because I used to get a lot, and I like to drag race. I used to be fast and stuff. It was crazy. So I used to get a lot of tickets, and then I used to just be like, sometimes, a lot of the times, it wasn't my fault. Sometimes it was. But I just noticed that like the cops would always patrol my like little town and stuff like that, and you just notice there's always a large abundance of cops in like the ghetto or whatever. So I remembered I just paid my ticket. I'm just walking out the Allentown Parking Authority. You guys know where it's at, next to the Dunkin' Donuts and and I saw a cop, and I was like, you know what, F it. And I'm the type of person that I don't got shame in my game. I will go ask you anything, because it's a question. That's like, a question's a question. I can ask you whatever I want. I'm not gonna be rude. So I went up to the cop and I was like, hey, Mr. Officer, sir, how are you doing today, sir? Good. Quick question. You know, I heard around the grapevine, you don't have to say anything, like I'm not recording you or anything, but is it true that you guys have to match a quota? Like every time you get parking, every time you have summons and so on and so forth, or you do a stop and frisk, a lot of the times you give out the ticket because you have to match a quota. You wanna know what this officer said? Y'all wanna know what this officer said? He said, yes. Yes, we do. I was like, thank you, sir. And I remember his name. It's like, it's right, Jared. Ooh, I ain't gonna say it. But I was like, thank you, sir. I just really wanted to know that. And man, I think I was 18 when I first found that out. And I was like, this is crazy. Now, take responsibility of your actions. I know a lot of the stuff, those tickets, they were my fault. But listen, when I found that out, look, I have chills. I literally had chills because like it makes you really think like, okay, if you have a quota, half of the time when all these stop and frisks are happening and you see cops being pulling people over, so on and so forth, you know, it got you thinking like, did they do something bad or are they trying to match their quota? Okay, hey guys, make sure while you're here, make sure you guys throw down a like, make sure you guys subscribe, you share, talk to me in the comments down below, you know, only if you want to, you don't have to. So I was watching the documentary, Crime and Punishment again. Make sure you guys check the bio down below. I always put all my links and all these videos that I watch, all different articles, stuff that I read. Check it out. But between 2007 and 2015, the NYPD issued nearly 900,000 criminal summonses. 900,000 criminal summonses. And I want you guys to look at this graph behind me while I'm talking to you guys real quick, okay? Maybe I should dip a little bit. Criminal summonses and arrest-related fees contribute tens of millions to the city's annual budget, with blacks and Latinos receiving summonses 5 times more often than white. How many times have you been walking around in the ghetto and you guys see so many cop cars? You see cops like standing everywhere. I remember walking around in the Bronx and the amount of cop cars that you see everywhere, the amount of cops that you see everywhere is crazy. But let's go up to Albany and it's a different story. I live in Celebration, Florida right now. I can count with my fingers 3 times, 1, 2, 3. And I've been here for 2 months now. I've been here for a month now. You never, ever see a cop around these areas. You don't, because why? It's an affluent area. It is a Caucasian area. It is a nice area. So there's no point of having cops around here. There's no point of trying to match their quota around here. Oh no, there's no suspicious activity. So what do? Is that they go to these lower income communities and they try to look for something. You know, they try to look for something that you're doing that's out of place. Half of the time, you're not doing shit. Okay? You just might have cornrows on. Your pants may be sagging a bit, which we shouldn't be doing, but whatever. You know, you look a little rough around the edges, you know, and that's immediate, like, oh, we see you. That's a gangbanger, or that's this and that's that. You know, and why I'm telling you guys you need to really watch this documentary that I have down below, Crime and Punishment, is because it really breaks down all of the... It breaks down the shitty infrastructure that we have within this government, within the policing, you know? What is a quota? A quota is a fixed share of something that a person or group is entitled to receive or is bound to contribute. Okay, so they really need to get those tickets out there. They really need to get those arrests out there. They really need to do more stop and frisks. They need to get a certain amount of tickets or arrests within their file every month. And on top of that, that is how a lot of these officers get promoted. You know, the more arrests that they have, the more people that they have in custody within their name, that's how they get the promotion. That's how you become a detective. You got to really arrest people. But in March 2015, there was 12 officers, right? 12 officers that filed a class action lawsuit which claims that the NYPD has violated a state ban on quotas by pressuring minority officers to issue arrests and summons. They're retaliated against if they don't comply. So what does that mean? Okay, of course they're not going to send a Caucasian officer out because half of the time they don't got sense. But half of the time they push these minority officers, you know, that look like us to arrest us. Why? Because then they can't put the race card, they can't pull discrimination, they can't pull a lot of this stuff, you know? And then what happens when you push a black brother to go arrest another black brother? Half of the time, they're gonna be like, this don't make sense, like, why? You know, unless they did something bad, which can happen, okay? Does happen, duh. But what happens when you send a Puerto Rican sister out there and she's patrolling, let's say Southern Boulevard in the Bronx, and she sees like this little altercation go down, but nothing physical happens. She goes in there, she talks them down. She's like, it's done, you're good, go. You know, what they want you to do is arrest them both. And then, how many of you guys have been arrested? So literally, you know, when you first get arrested, sometimes when you're on the street, I remember in school it was a different story, but in the streets when you get arrested, half of the time, you know, let's say it's a stop and frisk. What happens is, you know, you could be in the jail for about 6 to 7 to 8 months without a conviction, without a trial, without even really knowing what the heck you've been arrested for. And there's about 477,000 cases in jail, in prisons right now, who have that problem. Imagine being arrested and you just walking down the street and you don't even know what the heck you're being arrested for, and you're asking, please, what am I being arrested for? What am I being arrested for? And they just get more physical, and then in return, what happens when someone gets physical? You want to get physical back. Once you get physical back, that's when they'll charge you, oh, you were resisting arrest, blah, blah, blah. Then there's a charge. Boom. This is why I tell people we can't retaliate, we can't resist arrest. So, one thing, Pedro Hernandez, okay, this beautiful boy that you guys see behind me, Pedro Hernandez was in jail for over a year. He was in Rikers Island. If you guys know, you guys are from New York. Rikers Island is one of the roughest prisons ever in America. It's one of the roughest prisons, right? Pedro Hernandez, the thing that touched me about this case is that he has so many dismissed cases in his file. And what that means is that, you know, they open a file, let's say it was for rape, right? Boom, rape. Okay, boom, you're waiting in jail to get the trial, and half of the time you're sitting in jail and you're like, I didn't rape the girl, I didn't rape the guy. Like, this is so confusing. Now they're trying to find evidence. The people, the detectives, all these motherfuckers are trying to find evidence right over here while you're sitting in jail over here with the open case when you didn't even do anything. You were just arrested because maybe you look like the person, or you sound like the person, you walk like the person, you had the same shirt on that person did. What happened was Pedro Hernandez was in jail over a year for a crime that he didn't even commit. But you can't do anything about that until there's evidence that proves that you didn't do it. He didn't do it. They found out he didn't do it. They found out he wasn't even there. Boom, dismissed. What about all that whole year that he was in jail for a crime that he didn't do and he lost? Like, he couldn't even graduate from school because, mind you, this kid was 17. You know how many... I hope you guys understood that. You know, while people are trying to find evidence over here, you're sitting in the cell, you're sitting in prison, you got that orange jumper in, you've been already put into GP, so on and so forth, general population, for something that you didn't do. Okay, so I'm gonna throw out some numbers real quick. So 74% of people in jail are not convicted of any crimes. 74% of people that are in jail have not been convicted of any crimes. What does that mean, baby? That means that half of the time they probably match description, they look like this person, they look like that person, or it was a routine stop and frisk and they just had to find something and they had to, you know, give them the ticket, they had to arrest them. Half of the time, these poor black brothers and sisters, these minority brothers and sisters are being arrested, and then you hear them yelling like, what am I being arrested for? What am I being arrested for? Blah, 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 blah. When they didn't even do anything wrong. No crime that is happening. There's nothing along those lines that they should even be arrested, but it's only because of their freaking quota that they have to match. Let's say you have to make 20 tickets, you have to give out 20 summons and 5 arrests. It could be the 29th of the month and you only have 4 arrests and 28 tickets. Imagine, you know, you don't want to be listed as a 2 cop because the way they rank you goes from 1 to 5. If you're a 5 cop, you are amazing. But if you are a 2 cop, if you are a 3 under, you're trash. They're going to put you as a crossing guard. You know what I mean? So imagine being a cop, you know, this is your passion. This is what you want to do for life, so on and so forth. And you get to that day, it's 29th. And tomorrow they're going to count your stuff. And if you don't match your quota, oh my God. So that means I have to go arrest somebody. I have to do a stop and frisk. You know, half of the time they arrest these people, they give people these tickets, they give. And let's not even talk about tickets. Let's just say arrest. F tickets. Tickets, you're still walking free. But just the arrest part, okay? These officers are like, oh, I need to arrest somebody, blah, 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 blah. Then they find whoever in the street. They go to like these low-income neighborhoods, okay? And then they find whoever's walking down, maybe with his pants sagging, maybe with a do-rag in, and boom. Boom. And then what happens? You get arrested. You don't know why the hell you're in jail for. You have to wait until you see a judge or a magistrate. You know, sometimes you can't even afford a lawyer. Most of the times you can't afford a lawyer. I know some shit happens right now. My lawyer would be effed. I'll be like, listen, can you do this pro bono? Because you can't afford it, you know? Unless mommy and daddy got money, but half of the time, you know, these kids, they're suffering. And I hate the fact that they're targeting these kids, you know? Because there is a cause and effect in everything you do, you know? So when I tell people that when you get arrested, don't resist, know your rights, blah, blah, blah. Somebody could easily, a cop could punch you in the face and that can make all of your adrenaline rush. And then you're going to want to fight back. And that's when shit happens. They push other witnesses, they push other people to say that name, that person pulled the gun and that person did this and did that. And you know, you're just losing your psychosis in jail. You're going crazy. You're like, you know what? I need to get out of here. I need to get convicted so I can know how long I'm going to be in here. So half of the time, these people are pressured. They're pressured to say, yes, I killed this person. Yes, I did this. Yes, I did that. Just so they can get a plan. And half of the time, these officers be lying. They lie. I promise you. They lie. They talk to the jury. They talk to the witnesses. It is such a shady organization. Educate yourself, okay? Tomorrow's episode, man, okay? Have y'all ever thought of the amount of people that are in jail for weed possession, for weed selling, blah, blah, blah? But now that the government figured out how to tax it, it's a wonderful, beautiful thing. What about all the people that are in jail just for having a G on them? That's tomorrow's episode. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Make sure you guys interact with me. You guys like, you guys comment, you guys share, you guys subscribe. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Let me know what you guys thought about the intro. Thank you. Oh, I have chills. Thank you for everything. Like, thank you for still pushing on with me with Let's Talk About It. Thank you for, you know, just thank you. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.